Hello, and my name is Pete Rushmer, and I'm your host today of A Half Dozen Things podcast. A Half Dozen Things is a podcast for business owners just like you. Whether you're an underdog hungry for success, or you're already smashing it but want to continue to level up, we are here each week for you to get insight and learning from the very best in the business. No fluff, no BS, and no self-proclaimed gurus talking about how easy business or life is. Right then, the red light is rolling, and I'm joined today by Simon Philp. That is not a typo on his surname. It is actually Philp. It always feels a bit strange calling you Philp, because every time I say it, I always think of Philip, which I'm sure you get quite regularly, Simon. So in true NLP Master Prac style, so Simon and I met on our NLP Master Prac. Was it our Master Prac or was it public speaking?
No, it was the Master Prac, back in, I think was it February earlier this year,
yeah, absolutely. And in true NLP style, we have not prepared, because we just go for these things, right? And we just see what happens. And I think we're going to create a great podcast for listeners off the back of it. So without me chatting more shit, Simon, tell me a bit about you, mate. Tell the listeners about you.
Well, I think I'll clear up the Philp bit for starters, because now there's not that many Philps, although I didn't think there was, but actually as you search into it, you can find some more. But generally, I still, at the age of 53, still have arguments about my surname. When people insist it's Philip and not Philp, so it's a long-going thing. It's always that nervous thing when you get a certificate or anything that comes through, because you just think, please spell the name right. So that's the thing that I've kind of bared with that for a while. But funny enough, there's more Philps in Australia than there is in the UK. So maybe we were a bit naughty back in the day, and a lot of us went over there.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. So with regards our sort of journey and getting to meet each other, what took you on your NLP journey? Let's start with that, actually, because I think a lot will come out with that. Yeah, tell me about your NLP journey. How did you come across NLP? Talk me through that.
Yeah, okay. So I actually started on that. It kind of back to 2017, 2018, and I was just going on a real sort of personal development journey. Probably looking for answers, just trying to find out, I suppose, those life questions. What's life all about? And, what is it I'm doing? Where am I going? Why am I doing all this? I was running a former business at the time. I went to a mastermind group, and I bumped into a mutual friend of ours who happens to run NLP. And I was just blown away, fascinated by it was just like a different sort of language. And I'm thinking, okay, it got me curious. So then 2019, I did a starter session, just a day doing NLP. Really liked it. Then did the practical week. And it just, it really was a catalyst for then going on and discovering more. So it was probably like with yourself and that. It's I kind of, at that point I'd got to sort of 48 years old and thought, why don't I know some of this stuff? So
it's a bit of an eye opener when you first come across it. And obviously, so Bevis has been on the podcast before. Is this your first podcast, by the way, Simon?
It is, yeah.
It is awesome. Okay, cool. I love that it was your first one. That's awesome. So Bevis has been on the podcast, so listeners will have come across Bevis. And I don't know if your first impression of him was the same as mine, but I found he's just so relaxed and chilled, and like, I don't know, just it's not like any other bit like coach that I've ever come across. It's almost, I don't know, and then the language just kind of fries your brain a little bit. It's just a really strange thing until you start to get to know Bevis and then sort of see the training behind the person.
Yeah, he did. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something to me just after the mastermind group, and I just thought, how has he got that information about me just in this short space of time? And I also notice how, which I know now, but how he was very much present and was able to really listen to other people in the room. He just picked up every single detail, but that's part of being a good coach, right? Listening. So, but that kind, he just had a big impact on me right from the start, and I thought, right, I'd like to know more about this stuff. So,
no, got you, mate. And so from a starting point, are you able to tell what was, because we'll talk in due course, obviously, about Climb for Clarity, which is your current business that you're running, but you are a seasoned vet when it comes to running businesses. I don't mean vet as in veterinary. I mean as in a veteran of running businesses. Is this your second or third business? I'm not sure.
To be honest, I've actually, since we last met, so I've got Climb for Clarity, and then I've just started another one as well. So which we can talk about, but slightly different, but just to keep things sort of fresh and going. But yeah, so I started in business. It was actually 2011, and it was something I'd left. There's many points along the road where I could have started in business, but I kind of just went back. There's definitely lack of confidence, and confidence and limiting beliefs that I couldn't do these things. But I did learn a lot along the way. But there was many and I can pinpoint them where I should have started businesses but didn't. Finally got to 2011, then that's when I got into business. And again, I was still drifting on a wave of circumstance and sort of I was still drifting along, even though I was running a business. And it really was that point where I mentioned before, when I went to the mastermind group, got into a group of people who were just it blew me away. Really, just very inspiring. And and I kind of sort of thought, this is how it should be, and it kind of gave me a kick, actually.
Yeah.
To push on, and from there the business started flying.
Got you. So and what was the business? What was it you did, Simon?
Yeah, so it was it started off as a security company, doing CCTV access control, a lot of it into educational premises, and some commercial, and then we developed started doing fire. Fire alarms, fire extinguishers, a lot of stuff around compliance, so fire risk assessments, that type of thing, which was that was a game changer. The business started to grow. It attracted because it was growing. I was able to sort of apply for grants to help continue growing the business, which was really good. So it was a journey, and I learned, I was just continually learning, which was actually the thing. There's no big secret here, but I wasn't that keen on the actual business what I was delivering in terms of the business, but I was really keen because on the actual running the business side of it, because it was all helping me develop and learn. So
yeah, got you. So tell me how long did you run? So you were doing security, fire extinguisher servicing, fire risk assessment, that kind of stuff. So fire and security business. What size did it get to? How many people? What sort of turnover before you moved on to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so we've got. There was eight employees at the time when I left. In the summer we'd probably employ up to about 20 people at its max, because we used to do a lot of work in the schools. So school holidays were always busy, so there'd be a lot of projects on. So you bring everyone together then. So it's the summer was a logistic. So there was a lot going on there. So a lot of people from outside wouldn't have been able to do it if I hadn't had, because I had a business mentor who's helping as well on the outside, which is like a real really needed that to help sort of keep on track. And yeah, money wise, on the last quarter that I was doing, the last quarter we'd smashed through the 1 million turnover mark on that for the 1 million for the year. So we was going all right.
Yeah, got you. So, and that's largely selling. I know you would have done bits of extinguishers and stuff like that, but it was largely selling labour, right, and servicing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it was so it's labour and parts, and then but then a lot of it was service agreements. So the service agreements are good because it was like a nice mix of having recurring revenue on service agreements. So you could always actually project and budget forward what was coming up, because you kind of knew, because you got recurring revenue. And then we also then had the projects that you never knew what projects were going to come in, but there was always projects did come in, because we was looking after nearly 60 schools in the end. So the cycle of money in schools is normally school would spend money on fire and security, then the next year they'll spend it on the roof and so on and so forth. So when you've got 60 schools, you know that in a cycle it's going to come round that they'll end up spending some money on fire and security. So so it was nice. So you kind of always knew it would come in.
That makes sense. And then, so you're also a motivational mapper as well, aren't you, Simon? So
I am, yeah. So I did that. That was actually the start of 2020. I did that.
Just pre-COVID.
Yeah, it was just before COVID. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that I found quite interesting with you as a business owner, for the benefit of the listener, Simon and I, obviously we did our NLP master prac together, and since then we've had a sort of number of catch-ups and bits and pieces. We now sit on a mastermind group together as well, don't we? Which I missed this week, which I was really disappointed with. We also had a really great meeting around Barnwell Country Park as well. And I remember when we were walking around there, we were talking a bit about your motivators. So money as a business owner is sort of your builder profile from a map point of view is relatively low, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Right.
Low builder, and considering I'd sort of spent all those years as a technician, actually low expert as well.
Which is interesting, isn't it? Because you were working in a business, or you owned a business, owned a business, which wasn't particularly motivating for you.
No, but the motivating part is when the business was starting to grow. What was happening was the motivator it was sort of appealing to was that searcher within me, the person who's looking for that more. What it's just that constantly trying to learn and develop and grow. But it took me it's just took me a long time to kind of work it out.
Yeah, got you. When was the last time you did a map on yourself, Simon?
The last time I did one this year.
Have you? And
I did one this year.
What's your profile like?
Hi, I've got searcher. I think I can't remember what the second one was. So I've got searcher. Spirit was in there. That was the third one.
Yeah.
I remember what the second one was.
I bet you're all blue, aren't you? I bet you're all blue.
No, there was one other, but expert and builder are still quite low.
Yeah. So for the interest of those that aren't mappers that are listening, so a searcher profile for you, meaning, purpose, that kind of thing is what sort of pushes you on. And this is a very mappy type question. What does having meaning and purpose in your work, what does that mean for you, Simon?
Well, it's this. It's the thing of I know exactly, because it's why I always struggled at school, because it was like, well, why are we doing this? It's like algebra. Why are we doing it? All these things. What's the purpose of it? And that's the thing. So if I can't see the reason behind why I'm doing what I'm doing, then it has no meaning to me. So it's got to have I suppose a good word is a cause. What's the cause behind it?
Yeah. For what? So what? What's the purpose? Cool. And then a spirit is around having that freedom and autonomy, isn't it? Which does
That's a
link.
big one for me. That's a
Is
big
it?
one.
Okay. Tell me what that means for you. What does that look like when you're feeling motivated?
Well, spirit for me is which is why the hell didn't I start my business early? You know, to have some different choices and that. You know, it's and possibly why I sort of you know always got bogged down. You know, because it was just that it's. It's kind of like claustrophobic, being sort of held in and pinned down to not being able to kind of do what you want to do. And I think I got so conditioned to it in the end that even when I was running the business, you think, oh, you're running the business, got all that going, but then I wasn't allowing myself enough time. I wasn't appealing or doing enough for the spirit and giving myself enough freedom back then.
Yeah.
But I mean, things are a lot different now, and yeah, I just know that I just can't. I know now I can't deviate away from that spirit. To not have the choice to do what I want to do is, to be honest, it's sort of like what I say is unacceptable. Really, I can't kind of go along that path anymore.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And those listeners who are listening, I suppose, from a motivational map point of view, are using a bit of lingo, I suppose, without really fully explaining it. But those that have listened for some period of time will have heard me talk about maps previously, and obviously the importance of measuring motivation so that we understand the way we're wired up, right, and what our preferences are. Because essentially what a motivational map will do is give people an understanding of what their preferences are around work and around motivating themselves. And search, like we said, is about meaning and purpose and the why, and understanding what the cause is. And spirit, again, is around freedom and autonomy. So if you're listening to that and you resonate with what Simon says, if you work in a job and you felt really trapped, that is, that's a potential sign of being a spirit. And that's quite tricky when you're in an employed role to find that freedom and autonomy, isn't it? It would be a challenge. And then when we were talking about builder profile is the profile which relates to money, material wealth, and satisfaction from those things, when people are really motivated by having a nice car, wearing designer clothes, those kinds of things, and it might manifest itself in other ways. And the same with the expert, because actually around when it comes to fire and security and those kinds of things, and similar to what we do at Flagship around consultancy for safety and transport and those kinds of things and training, that's quite a high, it lends itself to expert, because it's about having that knowledge, isn't it? And having, being motivated by having that knowledge as well. So it's a really interesting thing. What have you, I suppose the next question for me, before we go on to the NLP Master Prac and stuff like that, from a motivational map point of view, what's the benefits been for you of like sort of understanding what maps are and how that works?
I think for me personally, it's just kind of clarifying what you kind of always sort of know deep down, in a sense. It kind of just confirms it to you, and then you kind of just think, oh, no wonder things have been out of balance, and you just think, well, this is how I should be. I mean, in one way, I was slightly disappointed by having a low expert, because I've always, when it comes to being a technician, you get things right, you solve problems and all that. But then I think when you get to that point of being, I suppose if you've done it a long time, you're unconsciously competent in it. So actually an expert, you kind of do that bit with your eyes closed, in a sense. But it goes back to what you were saying there before. So if you are an expert, so someone who's sort of highly trained and very skilled, and then you're in a business and a person above you is micromanaging you and telling you how to do your job, then obviously, again, that's another thing why you would wonder why you get annoyed when someone's telling you what to do.
Absolutely. And the value of it for line managers and leaders is great, isn't it? Because it can help a leader and manager really understand the person that they're working with and how best to manage them as well. Because like you're saying, I don't think many people like micromanaging anyway, but at the same time, it does help. It helps you uncover the things that are going to motivate. A really good example is that I had a team member who was appearing quite low on motivation or on energy around work, and we found out that they were a high spirit, really high spirit, but we're selling their time. So us is all about diary management, making sure that they're in the right place at the right time, they're productive, which means that we're selling the most amount of time that we can, etc., etc. And that diary is largely managed by one of our team members, right, and not the individual themselves. And that was a real telling time for me because I that as a spirit as well, who's got some spirit in me, I recognized that I wasn't managing that team member effectively. I needed to empower back some of that diary management, and we had to kind of work together to kind of overcome that. And that was quite a really sort of powerful way. Do you use mapping much now, Simon?
I haven't used it because I did use it at the previous business, but and I'm starting to have conversations about it now with the stuff that I'm doing right now. So because I can see where there is value with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, definitely. I did speak to Bevis about it yesterday, actually. So just sort of looking at getting that into certain businesses. So definitely.
Brilliant, mate. Okay, so tell me. So we've sort of got us up to, when did you leave the fire and security business? How long ago was that now?
Yeah, so come out of that was exited in end of Jan this year. And then
we're talking more recent now, and then straight on to NLP market.
Yeah. So
bring us up to date, mate. Tell us what's been going on.
Yeah, so obviously that was Jan. Had a little bit of time in between. I did the Master Prac course. Then went off my travels, went to Australia, went to Tasmania, did some hiking around there. My eldest son lives out there, so I went to see him. So had a really nice time. Did a lot of exploring, which was really cool. To me, obviously the for the spirit, obviously I was very motivated, and just to have that, to have a sort of an extended break to kind of do what I want to do was great. But also give me time to kind of reflect on the next chapter, what it is that I really wanted to do, and just to be kind of sure on that. There was some you don't just walk away from doing something for over 34 years and it not sort of kind of pull you back a little bit. So it was just kind of get some clarity for myself there, and just to get to a point where I needed clarity. That was it. And that breakaway kind of did it for me. Came back. Then I met up with you on we did the timeline therapy then, didn't we?
Yeah, we did timeline therapy. Yeah.
Timeline therapy, which was good as well. That was really good. And then from there, that's when I set up the new business. And I've continued doing. I've got some. Yeah, because since I met you last, so when I was doing some stuff for the Help to Grow scheme.
I remember you telling me about that, mentoring other business owners.
Yeah, that's it. And so I'd applied. I think it was actually back at the start of this year, and I'd applied for a grant, just like a funding grant for an ILM5 course, which is like a foundational degree in mentoring and coaching. And literally out of the blue, that's about 8 weeks ago now, that kind of come through. So, which I wasn't expecting. And as you know, I'm not the best on admin. Admin's one of my weaker points. So I've got some 5,000 word dissertations to get through. But you know what? I'm really the thing is that because I'm enjoying it and I'm enjoying the reading and the studying, all these books to read and that, I'm actually enjoying it. So it's not as bad as I originally thought it would be. So that's really cool. So I've got that going on as well. So that's good.
Good.
Yeah. Climb for clarity. That's been going. So I opened that up around June time. So that's still in its infancy, early stages. I can talk a bit about that as well. And then me and a friend of mine we've just started a very specific business around putting access control into educational premises.
Excellent.
And it's actually called, the business is called Access Control for Education. So there you go. So it's like the perfect business in terms of, well, what does it do and who does it sell to? So it's one of them as well. So got a few things.
Sounds like you got your fingers in some pies, Simon. So
I have, yeah.
Good
But
for
I've got to
you,
be careful. Do you remember the generation game when they used to spin the plates and all that? So I've got to be careful I'm not spinning too many of them. So
So access control for schools is new for me, right? It is new to me. So tell me a bit more about that. How did you come across your business partner, and what's the story behind that?
Yeah, so a friend of mine I was just doing some work for him in the summer just to keep sort of ticking over. So we was doing, basically that's exactly what we was doing all through the summer. And I was going back to some old contacts and that from the past, and it was kind of nice because even though I was running a business before, it was kind of nice actually putting in invoices that were just for me. So it was a kind of experience.
This is all mine. This is all mine.
Which is quite odd for someone who's not motivated by money, but it wasn't that. It was just the fact that it was for me. So that was really cool. So what we did is, it's a good friend of mine, and I wanted to make sure that everything would be right, and not go into sort of a business partnership with someone to, because basically. So our actual thing was, because there's dangers of going into business with wrong people. So our main thing was, the top priority of the business is that we wouldn't fall out with each other. So that was priority number one. And then we worked the business down from that, of all the other things we'd like to achieve with it. So, yeah.
Well, good for you, mate. Good for you. And the biggest thing, I've made you wait to talk about it. I don't know why, because I've kept asking questions about the other security and fire related stuff. But tell me about Climb for Clarity, because that is a really exciting. It's a really exciting business that you've created off the back of doing your NLP practitioner a couple of years ago, and then your master practitioner now.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit more about that, and I think the listeners are going to be really excited by it, because I know I am. I'm looking forward to hearing about what you've got planned.
Hi, it's Pete from Flagship Partners. We're proud to sponsor a Half Dozen Things podcast. Flagship Partners help their clients become safer, greener, and greater through a range of consultancy and training services. We offer audits through to risk assessments, contracts through to support with managing your culture, all the way from mandatory training through to management training as well. So if you need any support, please do get in touch with Flagship Partners today.
Yeah, so Climb for Clarity is the big one. This is plan A, definitely. So there's two parts to it. Basically, this is about. So I've always had a passion for hiking. I love hiking, and I love getting out and about in nature and having a walk. But what I do know is that it's always a catalyst for having a good perspective on things. It helps you. Gives you a little reset, helps you recharge, helps you solve problems just by getting out there and going for a walk. So I thought, well, you can sort of coach and mentor people and do it in their office, but sometimes everyone just needs to sort of get out. Let's get out and get into a different environment, and then just start asking some of those questions, and which normally helps to provide that catalyst for people then to open up and say what's actually really on their mind, as opposed to the surface stuff. So yeah, it's just a really cool way of combining the two things, and also off the back of that is what I call Clarity Mountain Days. So that's about getting people out into the hills of Wales. We'll develop this into the Lake District as well. So it's just about taking business owners, senior leaders out into the hills, take them on a hike, we'll try and extend people as far as they can go without getting too, within competence levels of fitness and that. And hopefully see if we can get people to achieve maybe something they didn't think they could at the start of the day. That ultimately to be the place I'd really like to get to, and where the main goal at the end of this is to get to a point of a retreat.
Yep.
So actually running a retreat where we can do some coaching. So we can do some indoor coaching with people, some outdoor coaching, and then add in the walking. And really the idea would be really to, number one, give people clarity, but also to get people outside of their comfort zone. So I'm thinking of some wild swimming, thinking of some gorge scrambling, and also just then adding some more like stuff like some yoga as well, just so that you've got that nice mix. So someone can spend like 4 days there, and not only is it a retreat in terms of, they've actually kind of had that coaching as well. And really, again, I mean, it's called Climb for Clarity. But the idea is if people can come away and got that clarity at the end of those 4 days, would be a real win.
That sounds absolutely amazing. So my first question is, what the fuck is gorge scrambling, mate?
Gorge scrambling basically is so basically you go up a hill or a mountain, and you just jump. So you will just go down where there's like a stream going down. So you follow the stream down. Basically, you jump into the pools and just follow it all the way down. So it's called like gorge scrambling. So there's a bit of the rocks as well as jumping into pools. You only normally do it for about sort of. You'll have a suit on when you do that, just to try and keep you warm, but you'll only do it for about sort of 30-40 minutes because it'll get bloody cold. So
okay.
But it's good fun.
Mate,
It's a real way.
That sounds absolutely amazing.
It's a real way of taking people outside their comfort zone.
That sounds absolutely.
Because the thing is, if you think you're stood at the top of, you stood there on a rock, you're looking down into a pool. And at that point, you don't necessarily, you're relying on someone else saying, it's okay if you jump in there. It's going to be cold, but you don't know how deep it is. You're just relying on someone that it's going to be okay if you jump in there. But then once you overcome that first one, then you're just going to keep doing that all the way down the hill. So awesome.
Mate, that's absolutely awesome. Sorry, I've just stuck my heater on because I'm out in what we call the snug, which is my home office. And I've had to stick the electric heater on because it's getting a bit nippy in here. Hopefully you can't hear the electric heater too much.
No, I can't hear it. The one thing I was going to say is where quite a few people have said to me about, what about your business why will people want to come out with you when it's raining or when it's cold, which... Again, there's a limiting belief around that, right? Straight away. So when you're out walking, the idea is that if you're cognitively, your mind when you walk is just thinking about putting one foot in front of the other. Okay. So whether you're outside and it's a nice day and the sun's shining on you, or whether it's cold and it's raining, what are you thinking about? You're thinking about, oh, it's a lovely day, the sun's shining, I feel warm. Or it's bloody freezing, I need to wrap up. You're thinking about everything other than the problem that you've just left at the office. So it works either way. So it's that thing, get outside for a walk.
Mate, I love it. I literally got home. I got home just before we came on the call, and I had about 20 minutes, and I just went for a walk. I needed to get some vitamin D in me. The sun was shining, and by the time I'm done with this call and my next call, it's going to be pitch black again because it's this time of year, right? So
we've got an
it made all the
advantage, you
difference.
see. We've got that advantage as long as we don't wear a hat, you see, the vitamin D just straight in the top, isn't it?
straight in the solar panel.
That's it.
Straight in the solar panel. Mate, I love the sound of Climb for Clarity. So, and it's not, with people listening, it's not like that straightforward either, is it? Because you've had to do some qualifications and stuff, haven't you, to be able to go and get a license, isn't that right, to be able to go hiking?
No, there's a couple of things there. So I've done my outdoor first aid course. So I've done that.
Yeah.
I did 2 days. That was up in the Peak District last week, which is literally rolling around in a field in the pissing rain, and doing all that. So that was really cool. Again, I've never done anything like that before, so that was cool.
Yeah.
So I did that, but when we do the Clarity Mountain Days, the hiking, I actually go out with the mountain leader for that.
Got you.
As part of his business. But that is something also that I'm working towards as well, being a mountain leader. But with this ILM course, obviously, again, that's a plate that I'm just going to have to not be spinning right now, but it's on the list.
You can only do one thing at a time. And these clarity retreats, mate, sound wicked. Like, sign me up to the first one, right? Because I'll be well up for a bit of gorge scrambling and what have you. I must say, I don't own a pair of hiking boots. I'd probably wear some tatty old trainers. Is that the wrong thing? Do you have to have hiking boots?
Probably, yeah. I don't think the mountain leader would be very happy with that, to be honest. But no, you need a decent...
You've got to get proper hiking boots.
No, you don't need hiking. To be honest, if the retreats would definitely be more summer, but then we're talking Wales and the Lake District, so there's the reason there's lakes there is because it rains a lot. So the chances of the weather's more of a luck thing, So, but a decent pair of walking shoes is probably good enough. Depends how challenging people want to go with it, So I was thinking of putting some abseiling in there as well. That'd be cool as well, wouldn't it?
Abseiling would be cool.
Yeah. So there's no end to what we can do with it, really. So I'm getting excited talking about it, because it's just like there's just so many different things you can add into it. It's doing it without sort of trying to do everything,
Yeah, of course. No, I think it sounds really good, and the premise of it is great because I don't know about you, but I always feel, well, I guess you feel the same way, right? But I don't know if listeners feel the same. But when I've got out and got some fresh air, I just feel so revitalized often, and I think sometimes we overlook the value of that.
20 minutes is normally all it takes. Go out for 20 minutes. It's just the thing. You're sort of using all the senses, aren't you? You can you hear the. I mean, like in COVID, when people went, I can hear the birds. No, the birds have always been there, and they'll always will be there. It's just you've just not been going outside enough, So they're there. The sounds and everything that and the sights are always there. Nature carries on. So. But it's good. It's actually funny. I spoke to a friend of ours, Paul Ward, about something similar, and he was sort of saying, if he goes on a walk with someone that, after 20 minutes you start to feel good about yourself, and then when you get to sort of like the hour mark, then everything else then starts to come out. People start to talk about their relationships at home, their family, their children, what's bothering them at the office and all that. So, it really does work.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. And I think you've sort of inspired me to want to actually go for a longer walk. So it's not often I'll walk further than an hour, but I think you are right. It is that point where you kind of get past this one foot in front of the other and letting go of stuff, which enables you to get some clarity. And it's like sometimes, and I've definitely been out and done this before, when I was training for the marathon, I'd go out like jogging, go out running and that kind of stuff. And like I'd have issues which were like mulling around in my head and I'd get right stuck on them. And then I'd always be amazed at the value of just going for like a jog or a run or something where, that it's so repetitive and you're just thinking about, like you say, put one foot in front of the other. And then it just creates this clearness of thought. And I just like, why couldn't I think of that sat at the desk? And I'll often find myself, I'm getting my phone out and like I'll be out running and I'll be getting my phone out, like making notes because I'm scared I'm going to forget the thought.
That's the weird thing, because if you don't make a note of it, you will forget, and that's when you know it's subconscious, because it's in there, and basically it's coming out, it's trying to tell you. And that's the I normally just talk into my phone just because I have to make a note of it, so a good thing that's quite inspiring is just having Strava. So if you've got the Strava app on your phone, if you just log your walk, and if you've got a few people on there join a group, then people give you a thumbs up for your walk, and it kind of just inspires you every day to go out, and they'll give you targets on there as well to do so many K in a month. So that's cool.
So tell me about what sort of goals, what sort of targets have you got around your hiking and that kind of stuff? How often do you get out and about?
I go out every day. So I normally, every day, and I normally do 7. I'll probably do like 7K.
Even if the weather's shit, no care.
Doesn't matter.
Coat on, out you go.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. So last week when I went to the Peak District to do the first aid course, I stopped up there one more day. So the Wednesday I could go for a walk, and I went out then. I did like 15K then, and it was absolutely pissing down the rain. Nearly got blown off the top of one of the hills. It was absolutely great fun. It actually stopped raining when I got back to the car, funny enough. But
will you go on your own, Simon? Will you go on your own?
I'm quite happy to go on my own. There's enough there.
Yeah. And do you listen to music, or do you just like no?
No,
don't ruin it. Don't ruin it with sounds, because the sounds are all out there.
Yeah, to be honest, I did at one point think, it's a good sort of opportunity to get out there and put a podcast on or whatever else. But actually, you're not detaching enough if you do that. In my opinion, I just think, just get out there, soak all the benefits in of it, But 20 minutes is enough. But I do an hour every day. And that does me good for just over 7K, so I can whiz around and do that. But if I can have a day out, which I'll make sure I do at least once a month, at the very least. So I'm going to Wales tomorrow, so no doubt it will be pissing.
Do you have regular routes you take?
I do if it's local to me. There's certain places I can go, but if I go further afield, if I drive and go somewhere, then I try and do places where I haven't been before, which has been great this year, having had different sort of choices in life now. I've been sort of exploring lots of different places, which is cool. So I've got some days booked next year for Scotland to get into some bigger ones, and 2020 I was going to do Kilimanjaro, but obviously COVID got in the way of that. But I am exploring and very close to next September looking at hiking to Everest Base Camp. So that's my challenge for next year.
Excellent. And so I hear people talk about Everest Base Camp. I'm guessing that's not the peak of Everest.
No. So I think Everest Base Camp, you're probably around about I think you're 4,500 meters up, so it's quite high up. On the tour there, you can do some 5,000 peaks and maybe a 6,000 peak, but no, you're not going. I think to go up Everest, it's going to set you back about 60K to do that.
Wow, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because you go up with all the Sherpas, and it's a logistical thing to get up there. And look, not everyone's going to be able to do that. So financially,
big financial commitment then. Big financial commitment.
It is to that. Yeah, I mean, every space camp you can do that for probably 3,500. So
that's still some commitment, isn't it?
Yeah, but if it's what you love doing, then
no.
The thing is, Everest Base Camp or the Maldives, every space camp every time for me. So
really,
all day long.
Maybe we differ a little there, because I reckon it's definitely the Maldives for me.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, each to their own, though, mate.
Exactly.
It still wouldn't stop me coming to Scotland or Wales with you, mate. To be fair.
Yeah, well, let's do it then. Come on the next Clarity Mountain Day then.
I need to buy some hiking boots, mate. I definitely don't have a pair of those.
Get some decent 150 quid. Get some decent boots. You see, but they'll last you. So
yeah, okay, cool. And
see, the thing is, you'd spend that on maybe a jacket or something else, wouldn't you? But it's 150 quid's cheap for walking boots.
Is it? Where would you go shopping for walking boots then, Simon?
To be honest, just I know the ones that I like, so I'll just get them online if I needed them. So
yeah, right, okay. Well, send me some links, mate, and I'll have a little bit of a look. Look at this, right on time. Maggie's bringing me some coffee.
Oh, look at that, eh?
I think she's only bringing it because she secretly wants to get. Oh no, you thought you're getting something out from in here. No. She's started doing all the Christmas shopping and everything, so they're already hide them away where people can't see the camera. So yeah, Mags will often interrupt the podcast. Now the dogs don't want to get out. We're actually recording the podcast. I'm so sorry. It's fine.
You need a sign.
I need a sign saying recording in progress.
Sorry. That's it, on air.
Can you hear her saying sorry?
That's okay. Yeah,
sorry. Anyway, that'll be interesting for the listeners checking in on that. So, mate, I'm really excited by Climb for Clarity as a business. I think it's really gonna take off, and I'm pleased that you're getting to sort of talk about it on the podcast as well. What's your sort of goal for it, if that makes sense? Like, have you got something that you want to, have you got like a goal for it or anything like that? What's the vision?
The vision is really is again, it's really to help, look, it's about helping people, people who are in business, because we've got this thing, you hear this like work-life balance, or if you want to change it to life-work balance, why does it necessarily, why compromise on that balance? But look, at the end of the day, if you're running a business, how many people do we come across who sort of go to burnout, and there is that imbalance. They're spending so much time on the business, and possibly for the wrong reasons, because it becomes maybe a habit or whatever else. So it's just to have that outlet for people to be able to, do something different, something for themselves. Because someone asked me about, having demands, a demanding job. Well, we all have, you can have a demanding job, you can have demanding family, but the thing is what about our own demands? Do we not think about that? That we often put ourselves last, don't we? Or we can do. So it's just really having that thing for someone to do something for themselves, to put them into a better space. And if after they've been out, or even if I just interact with someone and then they go out every day for 20 minutes to do the walk, then, and it makes them feel better about everything else, I mean, my wife benefits just as much from me going out walking, because I'm in the right frame, I'm present when I'm at home. So, that's really what I'm trying to get to.
And I think that's really, really valuable. And the reason I think it's valuable is based on the NLP training that we've both done. And some of the listeners will have done NLP training, some of them won't have done. But it's about getting that perspective on stuff, getting that time away from whatever your challenge is. Like, because people will be listening going, yeah, but what's the point in running away from my issues? And the thing is you're not running away. We recognize that they're still going to be there, but actually a lot of the impact of a problem on you is the perspective or the frame in which you look at it. And by getting out and getting a different perspective on it, it does change the problem. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I call it more, I would say it's more walking towards a solution, we look at that away from towards and all that. Yeah. Well, look, if anyhow you can, you see the word, aren't problems, problems are magnified when you sort of bottle them up and hold on to them, don't you? You know, so it's just that thing. Sometimes it's just being able to just say it out loud, you know. So even if you don't go on a walk with someone else, look, I mean, I'm promoting walking, you know. The thing is, this could be fishing, golf course, you know, if they're all those things that help you just to get, you know, into that place, a different environment to, you know, get thinking, it all kind of does the same thing. The beauty of obviously you walking and hiking is obviously you've got the physical aspect to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for Simon then? So you're doing the ILM level 5 now in what's it called? Coaching and mentoring.
Yes, it's coaching and mentoring level 5. So we get through that. That's hat and gown at the end of that.
Is it?
Yeah, it's all you know.
Check you out, mate. You'll have to send me some pictures.
There you go. I didn't think.
Make sure you have your hiking boots on though. With your
hiking. Yeah, that'd be different. Yeah, that'd be different. So yeah, I think that comes. That sort of be around about March next year. So for that side of things, still doing the volunteering on the Help to Grow scheme. So that's going, which is really helping me to understand different businesses, their owners, their challenges, which has been good. And really, yeah, just push on with the plans for Climb for Clarity, really, you know. So
fantastic, mate, fantastic. And what sort of, you know, what's the ideal, if people are listening and they're going, oh, I'm not sure if this is for me or not, what sort of ideal person are you looking to speak to about it?
So look, if it's just coming out for a walk, so if it's just coming out for a walk and you just want some coaching, then to be honest, that's anyone. I've not gone down the route of being specific of women from 30 to 55 and and all the rest of it. So really, this is just for basically. There's an element of life coaching because when it comes to business and people, they're separate. They're two compartments, aren't they? You know, the way I see businesses is just a set of problems that need to be overcome and solved. You know, people's people. So, but ideally, business owners, senior leaders, and people who just want to make a change, whether that be in career. Or just to get a different perspective on life, or even if there's someone there who's looking to start a business and just not sure, you know, basically has got them limiting beliefs about not taking that jump, really. And then the saying Clarity Mountain Days, that again, business owners, they want to have a bit of time for themselves to get out there and get out in the hills and have a walk with some like-minded people, you know. It's not.
So they're going to be group activities where you're going to get lots of people together.
Well, hopefully the idea is to get to try and get some. It's really to, in a sense, it was something that come up on my NLP sort of personal breakthrough, just about having like creating like a community, you know, so where people can, you know, have that outlet that, you know, once a month they can book it in the diary that, you know, they're going out into the hills for a walk and just having a bit of me time. But if you're there with other people who've sort of made that same decision, you've got that group of like-minded people who, again, you get an hour into the walk and they start talking about family and all those other things. So I think it's just a real cool place to, you know, to get people to.
Yeah, I think that sounds absolutely awesome, mate, to be fair. Sounds really, really cool. And I'm definitely up for trying one of these days with a group of others. I think that'll be really, really cool.
Maybe we could do a live podcast maybe from the top of the hill or something.
That'd be cool. I don't know how we're going to block the wind out. Blocking the wind and the rain out. It's going to be like.
We could make that a fair weather one. We could do a fair weather one for that.
Yeah. I reckon that's probably safer, mate. So, tell me then. So, I guess sort of final question, Simon. what's been the biggest benefit for you out of the personal development journey you've been on, the one-to-one coaching, the NLP master prac? You know, what's been your sort of biggest thing for you?
Well, some of the biggest things, I mean, I still avidly read books, you know. It's just like, I think I just go through books trying to, you know, there's going to be one here, it's going to have that certain paragraph in there that's just going to be that life changer, and there's loads of them, isn't there? You know, you read them and you think, wow, look at, you know. So I always keep reading books. I try and diversify it a little bit more now, just read different things. But I suppose the biggest takeaway is to kind of just find that where you kind of work out who you are. If that makes, you know, you just find, and as I say, look, it's taken me, okay, so the biggest takeaway is it's taken me such a long time to kind of get to that point where I can finally say, yeah, I know who I am. I'm comfortable being me. I'm happy to be vulnerable, happy to be emotional when I need to be around people, especially in our community. We can do that. But I think more powerfully is that I've been able to kind of pass some of this down to like my boys, you know, and because I just think, flipping it, because the earlier you can know about this stuff, you know, the better your life will be, you know, because otherwise you kind of, as I say, drift along on a wave of circumstance and kind of you just drift from one thing to the next. But when you finally know who you are, then basically, you know, like you're in a better place in life.
It's a powerful place to be, isn't it? Where the world's like your oyster, because you can approach life without the limiting beliefs, without the doubt, without the fear, without, you know, sort of with this level of freedom that enables you to do whatever you want to do, because there's going to be nothing holding you back. And that's a pretty exciting prospect.
I think it's just living true to who you are. Yeah. You know, and then what you choose to do with that information obviously is yours to do. If you know, and each their own. But the one thing we know about NLP is that we learn to respect other people's view of the world, and you know, we respect each other and realize that we're individuals. We're not the we don't have to live that model of what our parents had taught us, because what worked for a generation before doesn't necessarily work now and won't work for our children. So just that, it's just the ever evolving journey. But once you know who you are, you can just continue to grow.
So true, mate. So true, mate. If people have been a bit inspired by what you're saying and they're interested in Climb for Clarity and getting in touch, what's the best way to get in touch with you, Simon?
Oh, well, you know, since all this, I'm on Instagram now, Pete. So
Jesus,
yeah. So
love it, mate.
Simon Philp 1445 on Instagram. I'm on so Climb for Clarity. The website's near, so I'm going to send this to you. Actually, I've got a first draft of the website, so I'm looking for some feedback on that. So that'd be cool. So the climbforclarity.com website will be up soon. Should be up this year. And then I'm on Simon Philp, PHILP on LinkedIn. So I'm on there as well. Catch me on there.
Awesome, mate. And like I say, if you're interested, Simon's a great coach. I really do recommend getting in touch with him, connect with him on LinkedIn, and get in touch about those clarity days, because that's going to be really, really awesome. And I've not come across anyone else offering anything similar. So really, really interested by that. And I think the listeners will be too, Simon. So I really appreciate it, mate. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
No, much appreciated. It's been really good and nice to catch up with you again. So
it has been great to catch up as well, hasn't it? It's kind of strange, like catching up and having a podcast at the same time.
It's cool.
Which is pretty cool, mate. Pretty cool. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to press the big red button to end the recording. But really appreciate it. I hope the listeners have really enjoyed meeting Simon. And if you're interested in NLP, if you're interested in getting support, getting some clarity around your objectives, have a chat with Simon, have a chat with me. You know, you're welcome to come and get involved. It's an amazing community, isn't it, mate?
That's the one. Yeah, it's life changing.
Absolutely, mate. Right, good to see you, mate. You take care. Catch you soon.
Catch you later. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I really hope you loved today's episode, and if you did, please make sure you subscribe and listen out for future episodes too. Please do share it across your social media channels. We hope to reach more and help more people. If you want to find out more about me, my name's Pete Rushmer. You'll find me across any social media channel and my business, Flagship Partners, and we're your partners in success across your business. Thank you. See you again soon.